Hello and welcome to another edition of the show. Today we are diving into two major stories shaking up the MotoGP world. From a 9-time champion refusing to give up despite early season struggles, to a dramatic 26-day gap in the calendar, forcing riders to get creative just to stay sharp. Let us start with Marc Márquez. The Spanish rider has been dropping hints about his future in MotoGP, and all of those plans hinge on one thing: his physical condition. Despite having the entire winter to recover from an injury he suffered at the Indonesia Grand Prix in 2025, that setback turned out to be far more complicated than initially expected. While it did not directly affect his right arm, Márquez acknowledges that his poor feelings with the Ducati at the start of this season are what he calls a combination of everything, with his physical state playing a role. But he is not throwing in the towel. After 3 Grand Prix, and despite Aprilia's clear superiority, the Spanish rider is not ruling himself out of the title fight. In fact, he is reiterating that ambition in a new spot for next H2O, saying, "They call me a nonconformist, maybe I am. But what I know is that, win or lose, I always want to do better, because for me, winning was never a goal, just a starting point. I was always described as a little ant, strong and hardworking, and I always try to prove that." Márquez wants to keep fighting for everything and will continue battling to rediscover his winning form at the next MotoGP stop in Jerez, a track historically favorable to him, where he will try to regain good feelings with the Ducati, especially in those first laps that have been crucial from the start. What Márquez values most is the human team surrounding him. He says, "What I am most grateful for is having a team that believes in you so much, regardless of what titles they have." He is determined to repay that faith through results. The 9-time world champion warns that he is hungry to do better. He reflects on his journey, noting that his career has been eventful, adding that he was riding a motorcycle at 4 years old and competing in official competitions by 5. Because of that, he can say that from day one he knew this would not be a hobby. It would be his life's engine. Looking back at his achievements, Márquez says his first MotoGP title was his greatest accomplishment. But after enduring 4 years of struggle that began in Jerez in 2020, his perspective shifted. He explains, "Honestly, my greatest achievement has been maintaining motivation for so many years and leaving space to recharge. This last part is super important, and you do not realize it until you have your first injury." 2020 was a physical and mental turning point that reshaped everything about how he sees his career and his purpose in the sport. Moving on to our next story, we have some major developments in the MotoGP rider market that are reshaping the grid for 2027 and beyond. First up, there is significant buzz around Pecco Bagnaia and a potential move to Aprilia Racing. While there is no official confirmation yet, multiple sources are pointing to a deal already being finalized between the Italian rider and the Noale-based manufacturer. According to reports, the contract would span 4 seasons, though only the first 2 years would come with full guarantees, leaving room for review based on performance. This move comes at a pivotal moment in Bagnaia's career. He was the world champion in both 2022 and 2023 with the Ducati Lenovo team and was fighting hard for a 3rd consecutive title before being edged out by Jorge Martin in an intense battle. However, his performance has seen a progressive decline in the GP25 era, which accelerated internal changes at Ducati. The team has already committed to a major overhaul of their sporting project with the incorporation of Pedro Acosta as a key piece for the future. In the midst of all this change, Massimo Rivola, Aprilia's team principal, has offered some revealing comments about bringing elite riders to new projects. Without directly referencing Bagnaia, Rivola defended the positive impact that environmental changes can have on rider development. He told Sky Italia, "Changes can be beneficial." He went further, saying, "At the end of the day, we are pleased to bring in riders from other manufacturers and revitalize them." These comments reinforce the idea of Aprilia as an environment capable of reigniting careers that are going through phases of stagnation or transition. The clearest example of this strategy is Marco Bezzecchi, who after a difficult season at VR46 found a competitive turning point at Aprilia. His performance improved dramatically to the point where he strung together 5 consecutive victories, a record reserved only for historic names like Marc Márquez and Valentino Rossi in the modern era of the championship. This case has become Aprilia's main internal argument for defending their ability to transform the performance of riders arriving from other technical environments. Speaking of Bezzecchi and Aprilia, there is another layer of intrigue unfolding within the team right now. The Italian squad is facing internal tension between their two riders, with just 4 points separating them in the championship standings. The situation has intensified following rumors that Jorge Martin will sign with Yamaha next season. Bezzecchi's victory at the Austin Grand Prix added further weight to the growing rivalry inside the garage, creating a dynamic that the team will need to manage carefully as the season progresses. Finally, we close out today with some fascinating insights from one of MotoGP's greatest legends, Mick Doohan, the 5-time 500cc world champion and current Laureus ambassador, has been speaking passionately about Marc Márquez's nomination for the Laureus World Sportsperson of the Year award. Doohan is full of praise for the Spanish rider, saying that what Márquez has achieved is simply legendary. When asked about the importance of the nomination, Doohan explained that beyond Márquez's incredible injury recovery and the time it took to bounce back, what really stands out is how he switched manufacturers while maintaining his dominance. In his second year with Ducati and first with the official factory team, Márquez was operating at a completely different level to everyone else. Doohan believes Márquez deserves to win the award, stating he would very much like to see him take it this year. He is also quite candid about what makes Márquez's comeback so remarkable. Doohan himself suffered serious injuries early in his career, but he notes that only Márquez knows what he truly went through during his recovery. The mental strength required to maintain focus on the goal of competitive racing while dealing with constant setbacks is what separates a true champion. Doohan emphasizes that regardless of whether you are a motorsport fan or not, what Márquez accomplished was legendary. Speaking of Ducati, the Italian manufacturer is receiving a special honor of its own. The Italian state has issued a commemorative postal stamp celebrating Ducati's 100th anniversary. The special stamp is part of the Excellence of the Productive System and Made in Italy themed series dedicated to companies that have significantly contributed to the country's development and innovation. The official presentation took place on April 9 at the Ministry of Business and Made in Italy, with Ducati CEO Claudio Domenicali present at the ceremony. Domenicali stated that 2026 represents an extraordinary milestone for Ducati, embodying 100 years of history, passion, and experience. He highlighted how Made in Italy is core to their identity, combining tradition and innovation in a way that has allowed them to establish a distinctive vision of technology, design, and performance on the international stage. The commemorative stamp features an iconic silhouette of Ducati's Superleggera V4 Centenario tricolore, merged with the colors of the Italian flag, paying tribute to the company's identity and deep connection to Italian creativity and innovation. This is not the first time Ducati has been honored in the world of philately. Back in 2016, the manufacturer was similarly recognized, demonstrating that this bond between Ducati and Italian national pride runs deep and has been celebrated across multiple chapters of the brand's remarkable history.